Okay, after my very first video got a grand total of this many views, I'm going to assume that that's 0, and there is only one way to go from here, and that is up. I am sure after my first video that you are all holding your breath, waiting for me to do the newbie tag. Or maybe not. Either way, I appreciate that you are here witnessing another human try to do something other than just to consume, to create for you. So with that in mind, I'm going to keep this as pithy as I can.
Question 1. Why did you start this channel? Being a mum makes reading harder. If you went back in a time machine and told teenage me that middle-aged me would struggle to read more than, say, a book a month, she would have thought you were crazy because time travel only works to get you to the future. Physics. But somewhere along the parenting journey, my reading preferences became reading picture books for at least half an hour a day, plus some easy chapter books out loud to my oldest. But for me, I sank into the opaque molasses of reading mostly self-help books that are no help to an always interruptible parent. I'm starting this channel to make reading good books again, although there are amazing children's books. Like, this is not my hat, and I want my hat back, jump immediately to mind. But I want to make reading good adult books again, social, with accountability. And to find recent books that are like the one I'm trying to write. Really, I just want to encourage myself and others to get back to being the readers that we used to be.
Question 2. What are some fun and unique things that you can bring to BookTube? I plan to do mostly book reviews, which is hardly unique. For a unique niche, I'm going to try rating books for parents, or for other people who have lives that are more full than is healthy. You know, what can you comprehend at 2 a.m. or the morning after you've been up at 2 a.m. and you have not had enough sleep but you want to read? And your brain just won't brain. Or what books are engaging but not so engaging that child protection needs to be called because neglect is bad. And for anyone who lost their reading habit to scrolling or adulting, just like me, and is trying to become a reader or a reader again today. Another bit of uniqueness that is less playful than any of that is that I have a chronic energy limiting illness. I hope you will forgive me for minimizing my face to camera time because I'm not sure I can be consistent if I'm trying to memorize a whole script to perform or to make up, just, chat to camera, as they say, and be entertaining. I don't think I can maintain all of that all at once. So I'm going to write concise reviews ahead of time and then separate recording their audio and creating an easy illustration of the book's cover as the main footage. I'll pop in for intros and exits like I'm doing in this video, but you can feel free to listen without watching. Wash some dishes, fold some washing, I don't know, go for a walk if you have that freedom still. I'm here. I am a human. I'm just not as healthy as many. So life just is. As for fun, I don't know. I love landscape as character. I love prose that drips like dark chocolate over homegrown strawberries. So it's got that tang, prose and landscape. And I love characters that find a new way despite their trauma. Because if you don't have trauma, and I don't, I'm jealous and I don't really want to know because I'm finding a new way. And I am here for you if you are finding a new way, despite not having an idyllic childhood. I guess I'm not so much looking for fun as literary decadence to make my life luxurious. Question 3. What are you most excited about for your new channel? Excited isn't the precise word. My oldest son had trouble in school. I don't want to go into why, because that's his story as much as mine, but I ended up homeschooling him. For a decade, I haven't worked a job. I have been surrounded by children, wonderful, beloved children, but I have been isolated. I have this crouching, shallow breathing hope that maybe I can create something of my own. I hear a wind in the trees far away and think perhaps that wind is coming to me this time. Perhaps it will burst across my face and tussle my hair behind me, and somehow I will be an adult among adults again on the internet. I dare to imagine that this BookTube channel will give me a way to be part of more than just my family. I don't have excitement. I have cautious hope. Question 4. Why do you love reading? As a teenager, I had enough scattered traumas that I had trouble facing my own feelings. But I could feel deeply for characters in books. I could feel what they were feeling. And over time I realized that I would imagine scenes from books that created the emotions that I should have been feeling in my own life. And in that way, novels help me to unfreeze my emotions. And since to emote is to move, to put in motion, books gave me back what I needed to move forward and live new adventures. If nothing else, I am grateful for the fantasy worlds that I escaped to, for the reconnection with my own wisdom, and for the unending hope that one day I would be able to create such an alternate reality and inspiration for someone else who was in need of it. But I'm sure that the gifts of story are more numerous than I have yet discovered. I look forward to having new realities to daydream myself into, to have new characters to imagine myself being, to bring out new facets of my own personality, to develop them by seeing them in somebody I admire in a book. How could I not love reading? Question 5. What book or series got you into reading? My brother got me into reading. My brother, who reads maybe a book a year, Animorphs, and then Matthew Riley, and now Hurry Up, Andy Weir. It wasn't my mother, the person who taught me to read, who read almost every day to me, and then every day of my childhood she read herself, and she still does that to this day. But no, it was my brother Ian who made me love reading. He was 2 years older than me. He still is, funnily enough. He was perhaps in year 2 or 3 when he read me Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl. Every night, one chapter per night, he'd come into my room, he would read me the next installment in the exciting story, all the way until it was finished. It was magic. Before that, I already enjoyed books, but that act of love and consistency was pure magic, and it was all bound up in a book. He gave me the bug, even though he didn't catch it himself. Question 6. What challenges do you think will be the hardest to overcome? To research this video, I watched a bunch of other newbie tag videos, and I saw some that made me think I'd like to follow this creator. But when I went to the channel page, there are only 2 to 5 videos all made close together, and then crickets. No more videos for months or years. And I get it, this isn't my first attempt to create a channel. I've had a social commentary channel that I didn't have the energy nor the health to continue after 3 videos. I've written 3 scripts for a flash fiction, flash non-fiction pairing channel that I never got past recording the first video of. I have in fact been toying with starting a channel for years. So the biggest challenge will be to get past the honeymoon phase of video creation. The challenge is to be consistent, not a will-o'-the-wisp. Question 7. What kind of books do you like to read? Yes, those kind. As a child and young adult, I read fantasy and science fiction exclusively. I sneered at my brother for reading Matthew Riley, who writes the same action story in a different location over and over again. And all the while I read story after story of the young farm boy with the special sword who is fated to defeat the Dark Lord. Eventually that got old, around about the time that I started having kids. I have tried to write speculative fiction like I read for so many years, multiple times, but my illness and caregiving responsibilities have gotten in the way. And now I'm writing genreless fiction. I believe it's called literary. Weird. I have a bit of a twist in my work in progress where it follows mirrored realities, but it's still not really speculative fiction, I think. Now, the question was, what do I read? Not what do I write, but I don't have a reading genre anymore. Instead, I'm reading books that might teach me how to write my work in progress better, that might be comparable for agents or readers when I get to marketing the book. But what books do I like to read? I don't know anymore. I'm trying to discover what reader I've become while I haven't been reading. Like I said, I love decadent prose, thematic environments, and tales of learning to thrive despite life circumstances. I also crave optimism, like solar punk and Project Hail Mary, education outside of the system, and explorations of nature versus nurture. So, yes, I like books. Fiction books, non-fiction books. Historically, I love speculative fiction, but I'm writing literary, and I'm working to be more specific about what I like reading. Question 8. What questions would you ask your favourite booktubers? Have you ever read a book without first getting someone else's recommendation? Gone into a bookstore and read the blurb, looked at the cover, checked that the font inside isn't too small, and then purchase and go. Or you could do the same sort of thing in a library or on an online bookstore. That's been the standard way that I choose books. BookTube was not a thing when I was an avid reader. YouTube had only just been invented when I was starting to lose my reading. So I don't have many favourite booktubers, so much as authors who make videos. Hello, Heart-Breathing Sarah Cannon, and hello, Book Goblin and Elizabeth Wheatley. Or I watch people who do social commentary that involves sharing relevant books. I'm joining BookTube after, as it were, reading the BookTube blurb, and not after hearing all about it from all the people in the know. Sometimes I find a booktuber or a BookTube video, but really I'm new here, and I guess I'd ask, who should I watch on BookTube? Question 9. When did you start reading? When my mum taught me. Bless her. She taught me before preschool. We had how to read books in big cardboard folders with duct tape holding them together. I'm the third child, so they needed holding together, but I don't remember what the books inside looked like, but I remember the packaging of that precious curriculum. And isn't that like a child, to prioritize the packaging over the present? The Alice Springs Library was my favourite place all through my childhood. I don't remember ever not loving books and reading. That is my mother's gift. Question 10. Where do you read? I have read all over Australia, in England for a couple of years, in Colorado in the US, and now back in Australia once again. But perhaps the question is meant for smaller locations. Bilbo Baggins and my mum say adventures are only comfortable when you read about them in your armchair by the fire. And sometimes I've had comfy armchairs by the fire to read from, and sometimes I read with the soft glow of an e-reader at 0 dark hours, lying or sitting on the bed of my still not sleeping child. Sometimes I'm too fatigued to sit up, so a stand holds my e-reader above me while I lie on my back and click a page-turning remote. And sometimes I read at playgrounds and national parks while my children play. I read where I am. I read where my books are. And here we are at the end of the book. And the only one here is me. I, lovable, very old Grover, am the monster at the end of this book. Or I'm Gemma with Reading Gems. Either way, thank you for sticking with me to the end of this video. And if you are still curious about me and my reading journey, or if you want to find out how I managed to balance adulting with the joy of reading and creation, or if you want to find out what sort of books I end up settling on enjoying reading, or if you want to watch a train wreck of somebody else doing 3 to 5 videos, or see if I manage to buck that trend, then stick around by subscribing, obviously. And a like also wouldn't go amiss if you did like the video. I'm Gemma. This is Reading Gems. Happy reading!